But yeah, dude, I weighed in at 183 in the morning, and then yeah, probably between a few meals put on probably a pound or two between the fluid and uh and the food that I ate, a lot of rice cakes and honey. So
You're tall, right? You're 6'1" or something.
yeah. Yeah, 6'1", yeah.
That's not small.
Right, I know, right? And I mean, I could
I
probably
don't mean that
hop
to be
on.
offensive. Like being 180 on stage is that's not a small person.
Yeah, yeah. I probably could have been like 5, 10 pounds leaner, but yeah, I was like, okay, shit.
Yeah.
I'll never forget one time on the RP podcast, I told Nick Shaw, I was so ignorant at the time. I told Nick Shaw, I was like, dude, I feel like it'd be so cool to just step on stage at 220. He's like, naturally? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. Probably not.
I don't even think that exists. I think not Bernard, Brian DaCosta, when he
Yeah.
stepped on stage, he was, I think, 195, and he
Hmm.
won. He's the best natural bodybuilder in the world. So,
Yeah.
220. And Sam Akinola also, I think he steps on stage at 190 or
Hmm.
maybe 200, and he's obviously fantastic too. So
But I already know when Shimmy Hacker steps on stage,
it's
it's
funny,
about to
right?
be.
Now that I'm getting a bit leaner, I'm not there yet, but now that I'm starting to knock on the door and I make a few posts now with no shirt here and there, all the DMs are already coming. When's the show? When's the show? When are you competing? I'm like, I don't think that I am. They're like, you should compete. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I know last time we talked and
Yeah.
like I remember our conversation was like, yeah, like I really like coaching competitors and like trying to just bring a crazy physique. And I'm at least when we talked, I think that really wasn't as much your bag. Is that true?
Still not. Yeah, still
Yeah.
not. So I like the idea of beating whatever my best look was, and photo shoots are cool. And of course, having it for content so people can look at a physique and be like, man, that's aspirational. That's
Hmm.
motivational. I'd like that. That's great. But outside of that, I don't know. It's such a weird flip
Yeah.
because as much as I'm familiar with the sport, dude, I think bodybuilding is so weird. All of it. So
It
weird.
is, bro.
I've never looked at another man and was like, wow, he's great. I want to look like that so hard. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Dang. That's
yeah,
crazy because you're actually my lock screen, bro. Like, you know that one picture, we got the side profile, man bun was still
yeah.
there.
Well,
You were
remember,
wearing
just because
jeans.
I don't like it doesn't mean you can. Okay. My
That's
body is
facts.
available 24/7 on the internet. Okay. So,
I'm gonna
I'm
put in
going
the
to tell
Pornhub
you
sound.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no. It's like, ah, man, that's tough because I mean, it'd be cool to say you did it, but at the same time, like, who gives a fuck? Like,
So the biggest thing for me in and now you're probably about to go through this. We may have talked about this already. I don't know. It's been a while. If you think about it long term, I feel like once you step on that treadmill, really hard to get off. As in, if you've never done it before, who cares? But once you do, let's say you don't do well and you go, oh, well, I didn't do well. And now I know what it's like. I got to do it again. Or if you do well and you don't like capitalize, then you're like, well, now I'm knocking on the door. I got to do it. And then if you do well the first time out, let's say, then you say, well, that was my first time. Let's see how much longer I can keep this going. And then
mhm.
next thing you know, you get into this, this cycle where you say, now I'm a competitor. Now I have to do it. Whereas if you never do it, you don't really know.
Yeah.
So, but I can't deny, and I said this on my Instagram story a few days ago. I've seen it from so many of my peers on the natural side, on the enhanced side. When you do compete and you do well, people just do look at you differently. They do look at your content with more reverence. You do get this another level of credibility in other people's eyes. Even if you said exactly the same thing 6 months ago, now that you have pro card next to your name, I hate
Yeah.
to say it, but I've seen it now so many
Oh, yeah.
times where I have to say, I can't deny that. And in my case, kind of just like you, right? We make fitness content for social media. We don't have master's degrees. We don't have PhDs. We never trained really famous people. So it's basically just off of our personality, our physique, and our relatability. And for a lot of people, that's fine, but it doesn't help to stack chips in your favor where you can. So you
Yeah.
never say never. I understand the utility of it is the long and the short of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that just really made me think of an off tangent thing, but like, have you ever been a Little Dicky fan?
Yes.
Oh, bro, have you ever heard the song Personality with T-Pain?
No. But
Goes,
send
we
I
ain't
mean, I'll
never
listen to it afterwards.
he said, "We ain't never been ballers, but we getting pussy with our personality." I'm like, "That's me and Shimmy out here on Instagram." Just
Yeah.
especially you, dude. Yeah, you do have that, like, charismatic I feel like people just like
Yeah.
it
And,
because
and I mean, I can't deny, right? Like I guess, because so many people have said it, I have a physique that a lot of people seem to like, right? So
Mhm.
I have that. I guess I can, lean on that as well. You got to just work with what you got. Um, but yeah, I mean, if I did a show, classic physique or men's physique, and I won, and then I had my pro card, yeah, I'm sure everything I say about, oh, well, this squat and this meal manipulation, you would listen more.
Yeah, isn't that such a weird
It's
phenomenon?
sucks. You know what the weirdest thing is? The weirdest thing is that most people don't compete, don't have an interest in competing, and think bodybuilding is weird. But if you see pro card, all of a sudden you're like, well, he's got to know stuff. What do you guys care? You don't even
Right.
care, right? Like, but
Oh,
this like stamps that, oh, I should be listened to now. It's like, yo, I already look better than you. I already
yeah,
am stronger than you, and I speak better
yeah.
than you. But now that I have the pro card, I'm like, okay, you know.
Dude, okay, can we talk about the sleeper build that is your strength?
Sure.
I'm like watching some of your videos from time to time. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like that Cybex leg, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Cybex, the leg press where you don't lock out, and the Cybex. Are you working on the Cybex hack squat too, or just a leg
I
press?
have been. Sadly, I'm not at that gym anymore, so I don't have access to it. But
Mm.
now I have the Nautilus one, and I guess people like that
Ah,
one too.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, man, like, do you feel do you feel like that's something you're striving for in your training, or just kind of a secondary effect of the hypertrophy goals?
Just strength, you mean? Like doing
Yeah,
pure lifts?
right, or just focusing on progressively overloading
Yeah,
to
I mean, I'm certainly progressively overloading. Absolutely, and
mhm,
this can dovetail into the topic of this, which we'll get into in a second. This whole podcast, but
mhm.
um, I think it's a function of time. And I was telling my girlfriend this the other day. We were training together, and she was like, "Yeah, like some of the numbers that you tell me, like they just don't make any sense, relatively speaking, compared to like the average Joe and Jane." And I'm like, "Yes, but also." I spend 12 hours a week in the gym and I've been doing this for God, like 15 years. Shouldn't this be the case? Right? Right. You know what I mean? Like, if you've been training for a really long time and giving a lot of brain power, a lot of effort, God willing, never gotten injured, genetics be damned. Shouldn't you be able to do cool stuff at this point?
Yeah,
You know what I
definitely.
mean? Like, if all I could do was, I don't know, dumbbell, and no shade to anyone that does this, but if I'm dumbbell chest pressing the 80s or squatting 225, 15 years into training,
It's like, fuck.
like, man,
Yeah, yeah.
pick something else to do with
Right.
time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
so I don't think that I'm not naive. Obviously, I'm much stronger than the average person. I don't think that my strength is crazy by any means. But what I do think is when you pair the execution and the consistency in execution with the stuff that I do, especially as a natural, then you'd say, oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
yeah,
When you consider the 4-second eccentrics, the pauses in the moderate rep range, the technique never changes. And then you
yeah,
drop on whatever that is, 70 pounds on the belt to do pull-ups like that for 10. And you're like,
mhm,
that is cool. You know?
yeah. I feel like if we were to have some type of metric for, like, quality of set and, input of hypertrophy, I guess, versus strength, I'm like, Shimmy's up there, dog. Like, there ain't too many that I can think of that would take
Yeah.
that title from you, man.
And it's funny because recently I've been spending a lot of time in what we'll call a regular gym, like just
Oh,
a
yeah?
standard. Um, and it is funny because it's just so foreign. When I train the
Mhm.
way that I train, now every time I go, someone stops me with some movement that I'm doing, no matter what the movement is, and it's like, man, like that's cool. And I don't get that so much in physique heavy gyms. Here and there I do, but in
Mhm.
regular gyms, yeah, whether I'm hack squatting or doing chest flies or whatever it is, someone would be like,
Mhm.
man, or my favorite, it's twofold. My favorite number
Mhm.
one, I'll be doing an exercise, whatever it is, and someone says, hey, can I work in? Sure. I do one set and I can immediately see them trying to copy what I did.
Oh, God.
It's like they didn't do it like that. Yeah. That's number one. Yeah, like this is fire right
This
here.
is a great, hack squat.
Yeah, so this is the new hack that I'm using.
Yeah.
It's much lighter than the Cybex one.
Oh,
Much,
yeah. Oh,
much.
much lighter.
Yeah, and I'm still acclimating. Like this is 330 on there. That is not difficult. Like I will
That's kinda
definitely,
stupid, Shimmy, I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie, dog.
yeah,
That's
that is
kinda
not
stupid.
for one, that is not difficult. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm
Wow.
sure I'll be at 365 there very soon.
Yeah. Do they have this same leg press right over here? Is that the same
Leg
brand,
press is
same model?
horrible. It's horrible. I can't use it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. I have had better luck with the pad, but I'm sure you've tried that, so.
Yeah. And then the other thing I want to tell you that's my favorite is that if I'm using a machine and they have two of the same one and I'm filming, and I'll be
Mhm.
doing it my way and someone will be doing it their way, and it's like A-B, and I'm like,
Oh, dude, what a
I have a
contrast.
lot of that on my phone that I haven't posted because I'm like, I don't want to look like a dick and I don't want to look like a crazy
Yeah.
like look at me, I'm great. But also,
Mhm.
guys, door number one, door number two, what are you doing? What are we doing? Like, come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, so what was the, reason for switching to this gym? Just, like, closer location, or was there some other in
Yeah, so I have
particular?
two gyms now. That one where you're seeing with the squat,
Mhm.
that one, and then the other one is a big box gym. The one with the squat is like a more of a physique heavy gym. Yeah,
Okay.
it was just location. I
Yeah.
moved a little bit and I got sick of the commute. Um, yeah, proximity wins. You know, when it
Yeah.
comes to spending so much time in a gym like we do, your gym's
Yeah.
got to be close by. It has to be. Yeah. So this is like the
Mhm.
more physique gym that I'm going to now.
Okay.
So I have these two, and then also the other gym that I was training at. Like management gave me a hard time for a really long time for no reason. That
Mm.
eventually was like, you're just not being nice, and I
Yeah.
just don't want to be here anymore. So there was some of that.
Also, Tim, did you realize, you're actually going to hell for doing a shoulder press?
So get this. The shoulder presses are back. Shoulder
Yeah,
presses,
they're back, man.
shoulder presses are hashtag shoulder presses are back in full effect. Uh,
Mhm.
I am shoulder pressing every week now. I started a couple weeks ago and I'm like, man, I haven't done these in years. They're so fun. And
Mhm.
for my physique, everyone's different, needs analysis rules. My chest is proportioned to where I need it to be, and it kind of
Mhm.
grows from just the typical pressing and flies. I don't need to
Mhm.
do a lot of chest currently.
Yeah.
And I did want to grow my front delts. And it's funny, I started going down this front delt raise rabbit hole, seeking out front delt variations that offer a significant amount of stretch with tension, where I could produce significant force in a stable way,
Yeah.
whatever. And after doing that for a while, whatever front raise variations I was doing got stale. And I was like, well, what if I shoulder pressed with big range of motion again? And let me see how
Mhm.
that goes. And I did a couple of sets and I was like, all right, these motherfuckers is back. This is great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, first I was doing it with the cambered bar, which was so awesome because that gym had it. Now the gyms
Yeah.
I'm training at don't have a cambered bar. So I did
Mhm.
with the straight bar, as you saw, and it was cool. And then I was training at a gym, just traveling, that didn't have that setup. So I did it with dumbbells. And I was like, well,
Mhm.
these dumbbells are much better than this bar because I have more range of motion.
Yeah.
I can adduct, and let's do that. So dumbbell shoulder presses, they're back.
Hell yeah.
You heard it here
Yeah,
way not first. People love shoulder presses.
dude.
Yeah, so they're great. Recommend it.
Yeah, it's so interesting, man, and I try to not take the I mean, I won't be critical of them because, like, I'm sure they have their rationale. But yeah, certain people say like, "Oh, like, why are we doing this movement? Like, you can train it another way." And it's like, "But why not train it this way?" Like, I ran the high incline dumbbell shoulder press up until like 3 weeks out, and then it just started to feel like a bitch, and strength got so low that I switched it for the prime, which also had a good range of motion when I set it up right. And yeah, dude, like I looked at some of my stage shots from yesterday. I'm like, motherfucker, the upper shelf needs more. Like pec minor, front delt, that needs more. So I'm keeping them in. So
Yeah.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I've become to the point of some stuff that I guess I think differently about training. I've become a little bit less dogmatic in some ways when it comes to exercise selection and variation. And then in other ways, I've become more set in my ways, as in
Hmm.
with movements that are really good. I really hunker down on these movements and I actually reduce volumes on them, believe it or not, so I can keep them in for longer, as in from a weeks and months standpoint, instead of quickly running into the burning building of like, well, my minimum effective volume is 2 or 3 sets and I know I can recover, so let's add a set. I know I can recover, so let's add a set. Next thing you know, I'm at 5 or 6 sets of laterals really close to failure. I can only sustain that for a week or two before I'm just over it. Whereas if I was to just kept some shit in the tuck and stayed at say 4 sets, I could run that for many, many weeks more. And
Hmm.
I am not so convinced visually that the difference is anymore. If anything,
Yeah.
it's maybe better because I'm more excited to do it. I may get a rep or two more. And again, I keep them in for longer. And then
Yeah.
conversely, once the movement starts to feel not so good, I don't fight that feeling at all. I love
Hmm.
to train. I spend so much time in the gym. So I'm the last person to say, like, oh, I don't want to do something. So if something feels
Hmm.
weird, I'm immediately like out of dodge. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it doesn't concord with my mesocycle accumulation, I don't care. I chose this accumulation. I said 5 weeks. It's all
Right.
arbitrary. I made these numbers up. This is not a blood
Hmm.
contract, right? So it's like
Yeah.
if this is a 5 week accumulation, but in week 3, this curl doesn't feel good, I'm not waiting for my deload and then I overreach. I don't care. It's gone. Move
Yeah.
on to the next thing, you know?
Yeah. Dude, I'm so glad you brought that up. Not only because it segues great, but I'll hit on it real quick. I did an internship with a coach that I really respect. His name is Bryce Calvin, Progressive Performance. Shout out to them. We were talking about kind of like more advanced progression schemes. And then one week I was looking at his programming and I was like, hey, like, what happened to whatever movement it was? I was like, what happened? It's not there anymore. He's like, well, keep in mind. He's like, we like to see these trends. It's good indicators of progress. But with that being said, there's of course supporting literature. You can find supporting literature for anything, but there's no overwhelming body of research that indicates that there's like a crazy strong correlation between progressive overload and hypertrophy and accumulating throughout, a periodized scheme for hypertrophy. So he's like, you can just switch it out for another variation if that keeps progress coming, drives hypertrophy, and allows you to extend your mesocycle a week or two if that's what you're trying to do. So yeah, dude, I think that's a great idea.
Huge, huge. And I think the idea of adherence and fun for intermediate and advanced level is not something that's hit on so much. And it can be hoo hoo
Hmm.
rah rah and fluffy, but it's still real. And even us, 15 years in, 10 years into training, we still need to like the training to a certain extent. We still need to want to go. And a lot of times that can be a hit or miss based on 1 or 2 exercises. So if I have 6 exercises to do in a session, and 1 or 2 of them has been a pain in my assholes,
Yeah.
switch them out. Or I won't do them, and then I will just keep chugging along instead of letting 1 or 2 exercises dictate my entire interest, want, and drive to go and do the session. That's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. How many times have you had a leg day where you were like, all right, like I gotta do these hack squats, and it's like, the 13th week of you doing them, and you're staring down the barrel of 5 sets to do, and you're like, dude, I'm kind of over these hack squats. I'm not over anything else in the session, but you doing those hack squats, those 5 sets, to failure, you're like, I'm good on this whole leg workout. Whereas if you had just swapped that hack, let's say, for a Smith or something else that was maybe a little bit new, you would have done the succeeding four movements with such zeal, fervor, and interest that it would have been such a better ROI for you.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not such a that's more of a training is an art, I feel like, rather than a science, because that's not something that you can pre-program, you know. That's a lot of on the fly, you know, do I give in to my feelings or do I not type stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. And even doing something as simple as changing exercise order or adding in maybe let's call it like a pre-exhaust to that mix really can just extend the gains, I feel like, in a way. So dude, yeah, that's a good little point. I feel like it's great to have a set structure, but like when you're at a certain level, don't be afraid to break the norm.
Yeah, yeah. I think really what it is that when if you know that you're serious and your feelings don't lie. I guess that's at least that's kind of the take home for me. I give in to my feelings a little bit more than I have in the past. In the
Mhm.
past, I would have ignored what I'm feeling and just said, "This is what's written down. This is what I need to do." And there's still some of that, but there's also now more of if I don't think this is a good idea or if I really don't want to do this, I don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
man.
it's made training a lot better, a lot better.
Mhm. Yeah. Dude, I love it. And yeah, let's hit on the main topic of the podcast. So, Jimmy put up one of his famous Instagram Q&As, and I asked a pretty in-depth nuanced question, hit him with a deep one. I said, "Has anything changed as of recently in your training?" Something to that effect. I can pull it up, or did you have like a good
Did
idea
you
of what
put
you were?
so I hope you screenshot the thing. Did you screenshot it?
Fuck, I might not. I might not have,
All
because
right.
it probably will disappear if so, right?
All right. If you didn't screenshot it, I can find it. Um,
Yeah,
how do I go to my previous stories?
it'd probably be in our or in our chat because you might be able to see it if it's in our chat still.
No, I need to be able to pull up
Yeah.
how do you go in your story history?
So you go to
Archive?
your archive. Yep.
Yeah, that's what it'll be. Okay. All right. I got it. One, two, three. Shit, come here. One, hold up. You'll have to fix this on the cutting room floor.
Oh, I got you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 here, and then if something else comes to mind. So,
Hell yeah.
new surprising fun realizations about training that I've had, let's call it in the last 6 to 12 months, let's say. I've now been training for north of 15 years, natural, and that won't change anytime soon, ever. And okay, so realization number one, adding sets week over week may not be as important as I once thought. Yes. So, kind of touched on this earlier. I used to be highly bullish on set progressions week over week. If you can recover from it, you're doing it. If you're even, if you kind of think you can do it, you're doing it. And anything can kind of be fixed by simply adding more volume. Now, a lot of research has come out, especially recently, that the more sets that you do close to failure, conceivably, the more muscle you grow. And I think in a vacuum, that may be true. But I think on a real world basis, I don't think that that's feasible
Yeah.
from a time standpoint. As if you were to take one muscle group and lock that in and do as many as you can, yes. But we all train multiple muscle groups in a session. We got to do our best job. I can't take all of those to the ends, nor do I
Hmm.
think it'd be productive to. I feel like the injury risk goes up really high. And again, adherence. If I was to do 15 sets of chest in one session or 25 sets of chest in a week, it's not so likely I'm going to be able to do that for more than a week or two before I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Oh,
So
dude.
I've leaned a lot more now, not in this order, but on load and adding reps and
Mhm.
maybe intensity techniques. And I
Mhm.
still do add sets over the course of a mesocycle, but I
Mhm.
don't add sets week over week. And usually, when in doubt, no. Like, I really need to give myself a reason to add that set. So, where in the past I may have started at 2 sets week 1 and ended at 5 sets on week 5 or whatever. Maybe now I'll start at 2 sets and end at 3 or 4,
Yeah.
and still always putting a premium on execution and matching or beating reps and adding
Mhm.
load week over week, and also accepting that performance, how can I say this? Repeating performance week over week can also be a means of progression because you are building fatigue week over week as well. So if I'm
Ooh.
yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. So if I'm doing 150 pounds for 15, 12, 10 week 1, and my
Mhm.
overall volume load in a week was 80 sets. Now, week 2, my overall volume load in a week is, let's say, 90 sets plus more steps, plus the fatigue of the diet, any which way. If I do 150 for 15, 12, 10 again, especially if I had other progressions within the session, I think you kind of make the case that that was a progression in itself,
Yeah.
because I had to do the same thing while being more tired, if you will.
Mhm.
Lame, it's boring, it's insanely granular, but I think that is still true. So I don't put as much pressure on myself to outperform and outperform being beat week over week.
Mhm.
Most weeks I still do, but if I just
Mhm.
match here and there, I'm okay with it. And that's not something I would have done in the past.
Yeah. Dude, I think that's a really good thing to speak about because sometimes, like you said, in a vacuum, we hear these things, we see the literature, and then we try to interpret or we interpret it and then try to integrate it into our training. But little things like this get lost. For me personally, like, dude, when you say like 5 or 6 sets on a hack squat, I have fucking never done that. Most I've ever done is 4. That's because when I was a senior in college, I was enrolled in a research study where we did 6 sets of 10 on back squats as like a just way to destroy every metabolic marker for damage and stuff. And started at 80% of your 1 rep max for 10. Try to do that for as many quality sets as possible, and then they drop load as needed. And it just fucked me up. And I'm like, never again. So then I started integrating, you know, maybe on week 3 of a mesocycle, I would start integrating my rep match and different intensity techniques because I never really wanted to do that higher volume from straight sets. Actually had a discussion with Max when he was in Indianapolis, and Max Strasny, shout out to Max, when we trained together, and he was like, what makes you want to integrate like a my rep match here? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I just kind of do and it's not always that way in my program design, but like usually around 3 or 4 weeks in, I'll start to integrate some intensity techniques rather than ramping up the volume because, like you said, in a vacuum, it looks like it is clear that more volume equals more gains. But dude, practically, fuck that shit. Like that's just, oh, oh.
I think also you've trained people in person. And I think there's a really big divide here between keyboard coach and really putting people through training sessions and through programs in person. It doesn't work, right? Like, from just a real world standpoint, you can't do like sets in perpetuity for every single exercise, the most you can recover from, and do it all well. I mean, nobody has that kind of time, number one. And it's also, you're just tired. Like
Yeah.
if you're doing a session where you're training, let's say 3 body parts in a session, which is pretty fair. No matter what the body part is, you do 10 to 12 sets of that body part in a session, as an example, and you do it to failure, you might not even make it to the other body parts. And it's not because you lack willpower, it's because you're just done.
Hmm.
And training is kind of like that, especially when you're more intermediate or advanced, I feel. You're almost like this spoiled brat from Beverly Hills where you're like, any little thing outside of my comfort zone, like I can't do it. And I feel
Hmm.
like your body is like that, where you're like, if I could do 8 sets, I'm good. I can do the rest of the session. But when I go to 12 or something, it literally is the difference between me ending the session and me just continuing to do it well. It's just a
Yeah.
couple of sets difference.
Yeah.
A
It's so
second
interesting.
down.
Dude, that was a great one, man. Between like just that premise and then like thinking about matching performance in a more fatigued state, that's a great little bullet point, man.
Well, look, you consume a lot of RP stuff, Milo, 3DMJ. You know, you got to give stuff out here that you wouldn't probably hear. You know what I mean? Like, there's a
Yeah,
lot of good stuff out there. So I try to think deeply enough where I could say something
yeah.
that you'd be like, "Oh, I didn't think of that." You know,
I didn't. That's why we love you, Shimmy. That's
try.
what it is.
They don't make it easy, man. These guys are fucking lights out. Like, yeah, it can be hard to make content sometimes. It's you either find yourself just like regurgitating what everybody else says, and then here and
Yeah.
there you might say something where you're like, "Oh yeah, y'all didn't think of that shit,
Mhm.
did ya? Okay, good."
Yep. I love it. You wanna wrap anything else up on that topic, or what's
I
next on
think
your mind?
that I'm good there.
Yeah.
The next one that I have is I don't have to stick with exercises for as long as I once thought. So
Mhm.
we also intimated, or I touched on this before. When something doesn't feel good, maybe I'll give it 1 or 2 sessions, and if not, I'm out. I don't fight
Mhm.
it. I don't question it. I don't care where it's at in the mesocycle progression. I'm gone, and I
Yeah.
don't care. It doesn't bother me. So I find that keeps training more fun, more exciting, and certainly reduces any kind of injury risk.
Mhm.
Reduces my burnout because I never really get to a lot of places where I'm like, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and in the end, everything I'm talking about here, it's all granular. It's all the difference of maybe I used to stick with an exercise for 4 or 5 months. Now I stick with it for 2 or 3. Maybe I used to
Mhm.
push an exercise to 5 or 6 sets, and now I go to 4. Right?
Right.
The little
Little
touches,
thing.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not huge, but
Yeah.
it feels huge. I don't know. No
I
Diddy.
feel like I feel I feel like, also no Diddy, but I
Yeah.
feel like, it's bigger than you'd think. Um, no, but I think it's important to say these things because, like, dude, deadass, when I was younger, and I still do, you hear these fucking figures. I look at Jared Feather, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take some of the shit that he says as law. But
Mhm.
that's just not always the case. Like, no one should do that. He's a lot of great ideas. Fucking love the guy, insane physique, but like, it's important to put out those other perspectives and let people know that it's okay to like kind of branch out and try other things. Like, there's a kid named Ryan Dosa. I don't know if you follow him, but had a really good discussion around that with
Yeah.
him because he's trying all kinds of different shit. And I'm like, go off, dude, go off.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's okay to follow people as law in the beginning. So I get this question a lot where it's like, there's so much information and fitness out there. How do you recommend sifting through it all? And my advice is usually hitch your wagon to one horse and gallop with them for a long time, irrespective of everything else. Take somebody as law. Just hopefully the person you choose as law is somebody like Jared, somebody like you, and not who do I want to throw a shot at today? Uh, um,
I
I,
got some names.
I can't think of
Greg
it.
Doucette. Fuck
Yeah,
you, Greg
I
Doucette.
actually do. You know what's
Uh,
funny? I don't follow any of Greg's stuff, so I wouldn't
yeah,
even all these people that people shit on, whether it's like Greg or Lyle or Paul Carter. I don't, no, I don't consume any of that content.
yeah,
I don't even
yeah,
know what they say, so I would
yeah.
not shit on them. Um, yeah, I don't know. Athlete X, sure, there you go.
Right,
Um,
right.
Yeah, like if you pick someone who's half decent, I think that that's a good thing. But then after a
Yeah.
while, then be able to pull back and be like, okay, what did they do right? What did they do wrong? What did I like? What did I not like? And
Mhm.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. I have other things to say, but I will. No, fuck it. I'll say it. So on the topic of Jared, Jared is a homie, and so this is not him specifically. This is like a grand scale thing. Um, when someone gets too jacked, I lose interest
Mhm.
because when something is so beyond my scope of what's attainable to me, it's no longer
Mhm.
relatable, and I no longer like I don't look at them the
Mm.
same. If
Yeah.
you, um, the way my lens for consuming content or looking at a, let's say, seeing someone's physique and it being aspirational to me, they have to be just 1 or 2 standard deviations away from where I'm at. So I look at them and I'm like, all right, I don't know. Let's say I'm pressing the hundreds. You're pressing the 120s or the 115s. I'm lit when I watch your stuff. You're pressing the 150s.
It's like, fuck.
We're not even in the same place. Like, I don't even
Yeah,
care what you do. You know what I mean? I'm not even talking to you. You know,
right.
I don't even, it doesn't even compute. So when I see someone who's like, I don't know, 230 and shredded and just whatever, I'm not your audience anymore, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like it doesn't, yeah. Yeah, it
Dude,
doesn't look the same.
dude, I've gotten clients for that very reason. They're like, your physique's attainable. And I'm like, fuck, yeah. Let's set it up, sign the contract.
Yeah,
But no,
dude.
it's a real thing. Like you want to work with someone or take information from someone that's like, hey, I'm on the same page as you. Like this is attainable. Like let's get to work. So
Yeah, and like I totally understand, right? Like if you've gotten to those crazy levels, then clearly you crack the code and clearly you know stuff. But I'm just saying when I look at that, I don't look at that and I'm like, man, I want to do everything that they're doing, or man,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. But again,
that's a good
that's just
point. Yeah,
that's just me.
yeah,
Okay. The next thing that I have here, intra workout carbs are nothing special. And this is a huge one. I used to think intra workout carbs were so important. They had to be in there, whether I was dieting, massing, whatever. I haven't had intra workout carbs in like 6 months. And I've noticed absolutely nothing. And now I have those 20 to 40 grams of carbs to now get from more solid food throughout the day, which has
yeah,
just been a godsend. Dieting and even massing is just easier. I mean, I wake up first thing in the morning, I have a little bit of caffeine when I need it, protein shake with water, and then I just go train. And
hmm,
it's the same. And for what it's worth, and I didn't think that this would be the case, when my workouts get hard, I find that drinking water actually is can reduce some of the bloating or nausea kind of feeling. Whereas when I'm having carbs with sodium, it makes me more bloated. I never thought that that would be I thought it would be the opposite. I thought that if I was nauseous or my training was hard and I had that stuff, it would sort of make the feelings dissipate quicker. But in
yeah,
reality, it doesn't. And water seems to be much better.
yeah.
So,
Interesting.
yeah. And then from a dieting standpoint, it's great because check this out. If you train first thing in the morning, training itself for many folks like myself has a hunger numbing effect. So that buys me more non hunger time. Compound that with you having caffeine, which is also hunger numbing. You can buy yourself several hours of non-eating. So when you do start eating again, you have a smaller window to eat, but you can get in more food in that window, making the whole dieting process a lot easier, especially when you're more calorie constrained. So that's a huge unlock if you're the
Hmm.
kind of person who feels that way, who trains first thing in the morning. There are some people when they train, they're ravenous afterwards. I get that. That's not me. After I'm
Yeah,
done training, I'm not hungry. I could have lifted weights for 2 hours. Like I'm good. I just want to sit, maybe drink water. And then, an hour later, then I'm hungry. But
yeah,
at that point, it's, 11 or 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock, let's say. All I've had in my system is 30, 40 grams of protein. And now from the hours of 11 and 10, I have to get in 2,000, 2,500 plus calories. What an easy thing to do. And I'm
yeah.
dieting. You know what I mean? It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many little strategies that you can implement like that to just make it such a more manageable, easy process. A quick funny prep story for you. I one at one point really all my pre-workout meal was a cold brew protein shake. So I would train from like 8 to 10, let's say, and then like work started at 10:45 and then I would be like, let's hold off till like 11:30 to eat the post-workout meal. One day first conversation I had working at Schwab, of course, was like a big fraud incident. It took me till like noon to get through everything for the person. And bro, like it was crazy though. Like just for a fun story, man. Like I was fucked up, like levels of glycogen depletion. Like couldn't remember what people were saying. Like I was like slurring words. I was like, yeah, let's get this food in. But there's so many ways you can condense your eating time frame based off of those strategies that you mentioned that make the diet so much easier.
100%. Are you working at Schwab now?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. What are you
That's
doing there? Financial
that's when you
advisor?
said that's when you said bullish. I got fucking wrecked, dog. I was like,
I didn't know that
one of
you're
us.
not training
One
people
of
in person anymore.
no, no, not doing it in person. Yeah. I'm a broker
Very
now.
cool. So are you a financial advisor?
Not yet. No, I'm still going through that licensing
You're
and,
studying for your
um
Series 7 or something?
yeah, I got the Series 7,
Uh-huh.
and now yeah, like, I started in the role as a broker, and that's been 6 months now, just to kinda get your feet under you, get comfortable, and then, yeah, it's like, let's get ready for the next licensing so you can actually start to give advice and, you know, make plans for people based off of their needs and their
Yeah,
risk
you haven't
tolerance.
even started amassing AUM anything yet, right?
No, no,
Okay.
not yet, yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. That's very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
We could we'll talk about that off some that's
Mhm.
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I'm a big finance person, so I'm very here for this conversation.
That's why you said bullish, I was like, "Huh."
Yeah, that's
We
great.
can't yeah, we'll have to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm very curious to hear why you I mean, obviously you needed money, so that's the reason why
Yeah.
you're like, I'm not a training people person anymore. Finance is where it's at, but we'll dig into it more, I'm sure, after. Okay.
Mhm.
What else do I have here? Okay, going to failure may never be necessary. I know this has been a hot topic, the going to failure stuff, especially in the last 6 months, the last year, for everybody. And yeah, I mean, if I go to failure, honestly, it's just because it had happened here and there. Not so much my intention, but I've just found that the ROI, just logically speaking, is just quite poor.
Mhm.
Um, if I go to failure on stuff, it really affects the performance of the rest of my sets. It can potentially affect the rest of my workout, depending on what the movement is. If I merely just stay one or two away, just like we are talking about, like the spoiled kid from Beverly Hills who just needs everything like this, it's totally like that.
Mhm.
Simply keeping just 1 to 4 reps in reserve is so different than going to zero. But in reality, from a sets times reps standpoint, it's basically the same. But
Mhm.
from a an impact on my training standpoint, it's monumental. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I barely do it. I barely do it, if ever. On presses,
Yeah.
it might happen because going to failure on presses is like pretty easy. Um,
Mhm. That's actually I'm glad you brought presses up because I remember I replied to one of your stories. This was months ago at this point, but, you had talked about it and, you know, how you're kind of starting to shy away from going to 0 reps in reserve or failure even on pressing, and I was like, "Interesting, okay, like, I'll have to think about this. I'm not gonna change yet," but then the next week or 2 weeks later, I'm pressing to, like, 0 reps in reserve. My first set on Smith machine bench incline was, like, 14 reps, and then it went down to, like, 9, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's kind of a big drop off. Not that it really has a huge impact, but like, let me think through this. So then over the next couple training weeks, I just, I did 1 rep in reserve and you get much more standard decrements in consecutive sets in your performance. And I have to feel like, if you're hanging on to those performance numbers a little bit more from set to set, it has to be doing something for you, I would think. So
yeah.
I'm definitely on pressing. I'm definitely on board with you there as well.
I think also the pressing failure stuff, when your technique is really good, we'll define that as controlled eccentrics, full range pauses, and large ranges of motion. Grinding is just not really a thing. As
Mhm.
in, and I know you found this already. As in, you'd be like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, and I'm done. There's
Yeah.
nothing in the middle. It's like press,
Yeah.
press, I'm stuck. There's no chance I'm getting another one.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so we can call it technical failure, I suppose. When you're going to technical failure with a lot of movements, it just becomes really intuitive too. It's not this mythical thing of like you have to go to failure. You don't train hard enough, guys. I assure you, it's not that difficult. Maybe with legs it is, but with
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
else, yeah, maybe, but with anything else, I don't know. I just find it's just not that deep.
Right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's harder at a certain point, maybe arguably harder to not just strap in, get your versagraphs on the lat pull down bar and rep till failure. Like, keeping a few reps in reserve as you're starting off a mesocycle is can be challenging for people. It was challenging for me for a time.
Oh, you're saying in
Yeah.
the beginning to hold back. That is hard.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. That is hard for a lot of people. Not me, but
Yeah.
for a fair bit of people because yeah, exactly like you said, they want to just go for broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so with the failure, as like my last follow-up question here, I feel like there is some type of merit to understanding that. So do you have a different approach? Like if you were to coach someone and they were like, "Hey, like, should I take X amount of sets to failure?" Would you have them do like a few failure sets to help them gauge RIR in the future? Do you throw it out entirely? Like, what's your
Yeah,
final
so
consensus there?
if I'm coaching somebody in person, I don't coach it, I don't communicate it like that. I will just push them with great technique until their technique basically is about to break or breaks a little, and then the set just concludes. We write down the sets and reps and whatever the performance was, devoid of emotion, and then we just move off of that. I'm not intentional with, all right, we're doing a failure set or like, let's see what you got, right? I don't do that. I don't think that's very
Yeah.
intelligent to do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's simply just input output. What are the numbers?
Yeah.
Do it. When you're about to break, don't. And then
Mhm.
we move from there. And yeah, I find I mean, I'm really like a big data person. So it's the same with, keyboard coach or in-person coach. I'm really big in writing everything down. And I feel like when you have data, you just move off of the data. And like, is it the sexy thing to do? No, but it's the smart thing to do. It's data.
Mhm. Yeah.
Then you just go off of that and that's it. And then you're never really working so much with emotion of what do I feel. It's kind of like, well, the numbers are this, and so you probably should just do this and keep.
Right.
Yeah,
Definitely. I
yeah,
like it, man. It's another good thing that when you put that, I was like, "Interesting." I'm excited to hear it. So, good to hear that phrased.
yeah. So let me see what else I got for you. So if something hurts or feels uncomfortable, listen. Don't be a cool guy. So if something feels weird in the elbow, in the bicep, in the hamstring, in the knee, listen.
Yeah.
Like I'm not necessarily I'm not saying you have to necessarily like full stop change, but don't just keep doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like pull back, assess, think about it, right? Is this a little ache? Is this repeating, right? Is this something that's happening week over week? Or was that just an aberrant thing? Was everything that I did today perfect from a recovery fatigue management standpoint or relatively perfect so that this is an aberration? Or like, did I cause this? Was it something in my movement pattern? Did my body shift? Um, and then again, if it feels a little achy, if it feels a little bit weird, like change something.
Yeah. Dude,
That's
I'm so glad you bring this up because I like to think of myself as someone who, I've been doing this for 11 years now,
yeah,
and I'd like to think I have a good approach, but my dumbass has been doing that exact fault. I mean, really, it's better at this point, and I feel pain-free, but man, even since, like, we first connected on social media, I wanna say, like, 2021 to 2020, even 2023, late 2023, I had a hip pain, man, from a Bulgarian split squat injury, and it just fucked with everything. Leg press, hack squat, any type of squat pattern really prohibited my strength gains and my quad gains, and I just kept pushing and kept pushing because I'm like, "No, I see the guys out there, they're training full range of motion, like, they're training hard, like, "Fuck it, dude, I need bigger quads, like, I need to do this." And it really I did physical therapy, kinda helped, and then just went right back to pushing, and it really wasn't until I was, like, to the point where I'm like, "Dude, this fucking hurts, and if I don't change something, I'm gonna get an injury that's gonna take me out of this game for so long that, like, I might not be able to really come back." And that was my wake-up call, and I just, like, stopped the compound movements that hurt, and then I integrated them back in at partial, like not partial ranges, but like maybe squatting to parallel or slightly above as I introduced them back in, and just over time finally did that. But it's such a hard concept to grasp. You want to be in there, you want to be training hard, and you want to push yourself, but it's like just do the smart thing.
yeah, man. If something hurts, don't do it. And
Yeah.
obviously get stuff checked out. But yeah, there's no must do exercise. And at the end of the day, let's say you can't do an exercise that everybody is doing. The one person that's going to notice is you. You're
Yeah,
going to
literally, bro.
exactly the same. It's not going to even
Yeah,
matter. You know
yeah,
what
it
I mean?
doesn't matter.
I get this question so much, or someone would be like, "Oh, well, my left arm, it's like it's hurting or something, and I feel like I have an asymmetry." I'm like, I assure you, the only one that thinks you have an asymmetry is you.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
probably look exactly the same. Nobody would tell. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and if something is giving you pain, leave it alone. Leave it alone for a week. Leave it alone for a month. Shit, you might have to not do that movement pattern anymore. That might not be in the cards for you. Obviously, I'm not speaking to beginners here, but
Mhm.
if I don't know, insert whatever movement you want to insert. If that always gives you pain in some kind of way, maybe you just can't do wide grip pull-ups anymore. Okay. God invented gyms with 18,000 variations. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like you're all right. It's not
Yeah.
even it's not even that deep.
It's
Yeah.
crazy how we as humans just, like, attach ourselves and, like, there's a tribal aspect to it, like, damn, like, I'm seeing Dr. Mike fucking getting it at his gym, and, like, I'm seeing you guys, like, I'm seeing you, Dylan, Trevor, like, all the guys just, like, flawlessly doing this shit. I'm like, "Yeah, I wanna do that too," and, like, ah, but like you said, man, such a great point. I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, and I think that people need to hear it again because we get married to certain exercises or certain things because they look badass and everybody else does it. And it's like, man, so many things work, so many exercise
Mhm.
variations work, so many rep ranges work, right? Like
Yeah.
you got to just find the one that works the best for you and then become a savage at it, and then
Yeah.
you'll have your physique, right? There are certain things that here we go. There are certain things that Serge Nubret could do that Arnold couldn't do because they
Mhm.
wouldn't like that. You know what I mean? There's stuff that Phil
Mhm.
can do that Kai Green couldn't do, and vice versa. And maybe this is what makes the physiques look different. Who knows? So,
There's
um,
there's just one thing that Kai Green used to do, and it was, like, related to, like, a grapefruit. I don't think Phil could ever have done that, but,
I don't think
dude,
he could have done that.
probably not.
I know what you're talking about. I know.
But I know the internet wants to see you do it.
I don't think so. I don't think so. The internet sees enough of me already. They don't need to see more.
Right.
Anyway, what else I got here? The other ones here are really fast. I don't need as much protein as I think I do. This is a huge one. I keep eating less protein every like every 6 months. It seems to be going down. I mean, long time ago, right when I was young, I thought that high protein was the thing. So 1.25 to 1.5 grams per pound. Then I rocked with the 1 gram per pound for years. And in the last, honestly, probably 6 months or so, I probably do less than a gram per pound now. I probably do more
Mhm.
like zero point 0.8 or something.
Yeah.
I've noticed no difference. I eat more carbs. It's easier to do meals as far as like organizing them or if I'm traveling. And it just makes things simpler. And it's great. And I never thought that I would say that, but it's exactly the same. I'm dieting, I'm hypocaloric now, and I'm eating uh, probably around maybe a little less than 1 gram per pound. I noticed no difference whatsoever.
The way I like to rationalize it, because I agree, like, dude, and I even remember back in, like, 2016 being in nutrition courses in school, and, like, the professor would say, like, what was the recommendation? Something like zero point 0.6 to zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Ain't no fucking way, bro." Like,
yeah, I was the
I,
same
like,
as you.
dead ass was like, "Hold up, what?" And, I think if we consider easing back on our protein intake a little bit, there's a great benefit that you can kind of parlay this with to make it okay in your mind. So let's say we switch from like, I'm 185 now. Maybe I don't quite hit that 1 gram per pound, but I do like a zero point 0.8 grams per pound. It might save me $5 over the course of a week. And if I were to invest that $5 in the S&P 500, what's that? 52 times five,
That's
and
right.
then we have an 8% return. Even it's Trump just got elected, dog. Fuck. If that's
That's
not going
right.
to change your mind on protein
Or
intake,
now in November 10th, 2025, you take all that money, you put it in Solana, and then you become a billionaire, clearly, because Solana is just a fucking I'm very upset. Okay. Solana just
oh,
I'm
dude,
not
that's
I'm not a crypto bro by any means. I have an Ethereum allocation. That's it.
mhm.
But there was a time where I had some Solana and I sold it, and I just sold it for what I basically bought it for. And if I still kept that Solana now, I'd be up
Oh,
10x from where I was. And
this is how I know you're a smart motherfucker, Shimmy.
yeah, it just hurts. It just hurts.
my cousin, he works for a company called Avalanche.
I
Um,
know Avalanche very
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's how I know you're a smart motherfucker, Shimmy. But back
Yeah,
to the podcast.
but whatever. Like, we'll say this, and I heard someone talking about this the other day. They're like, whatever cryptocurrency you pick, if it's like a good one, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, whatever, you may not capture all of the upside of the best one, but you're still, if you believe in it and it goes, you're going to be directionally right. The magnitude of the direction may not be as substantial as another one, but it's like if Bitcoin runs, Ethereum's gonna run, right?
Yeah.
Like if Solana runs, Bitcoin's probably gonna run.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
one gonna run more than the other? Yes. Are you gonna get it right? No. But like, are they gonna probably outpace the S&P? Yes. So it's kind of like, don't be
Mhm.
greedy. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna do this at all, you pick one or you pick two, and like that's it. And that's what I'm telling myself because I don't have Solana anymore.
Right. But you know what's never gonna run?
What's that?
Us, because 'cause we're getting fucking big out here, dog. We ain't trying to run. Fuck
I
that.
jogged for 5 minutes yesterday. My left hamstring is sore.
Oh, running really does. It makes you sore, man. If you don't regularly run and you run a 5K.
Yeah, dude. I was doing my steps on the treadmill after my workout. In the last 5 minutes, my girlfriend was like, "You want to run?" I was like, "Okay, this is a good idea. Why not?" And I jogged, and I wasn't out of breath or anything. But then my left hamstring, the rest of the night and today was like tight. I'm like,
Fuck.
what? I
That's
don't
so
know.
funny.
It's stupid. Okay, my body's
Yeah,
stupid. Anyway,
I feel
um,
that.
so what are the other ones here? I'll just blast through these real fast. High step
Mhm.
counts are magical. I don't know if I need to explain that so much, but it just seems like, yeah, 8 to 10,000 steps is cool. But the moment I'm consistently doing 12,000 steps or more a day, fat just goes away. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not the case. Obviously, I'm doing everything else, sleep training, not missing meals, whatever. But it just seems like whenever I turn up the dial on that, it's a big difference. When I go from 12 to 13, huge. When I go from 13 to 14, huge. And
Dude, that 12.5 to 15K range, that's different.
it's different. It's
It's
different.
different. Do you have a cap of where you're like, "I don't really want people or want myself to go above this for
Yeah,
steps?"
I mean, obviously it's totally arbitrary, right? It's just based on how you're feeling. For me,
Yeah.
anything much over 13 to 14, I'm like, fuck you.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
I
really
gotta
like that.
I gotta show you something real quick,
It's
from one of
probably
my
gonna be like 1,800 calorie days at 18,000 steps, and I'm sure it's something like that, right?
Oh,
No.
well, this guy, so, like, one of my clients, he recently prepped, now he's in the off season and shit, but dude, he works, in a factory job, and I think we got calories down to, like, 2,200 at the very lowest, but he was having 28,000 to 30,000 steps a day with his job, and I'm like, "This is fucking insane, dude, like, are you okay? Are you recovered?" He did it. It's not something I would
More,
recommend to
more
people, but,
power to you that you would take on a client like that because that's hard, bro. Like if I'm
oh,
if
his
I'm consulting with somebody and they're like, I want to lose 20 pounds and I'm a shift worker and I walk 16,000 steps a day. Can you help me? I'm like,
oof.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You wanna hear something even better and
Yeah.
funny? I fucking tried to rapid backload him for his peak on the first show we ever did together,
Yeah.
having never competed myself.
Yeah.
Oh, love it, love it, love it. Hey,
But
you're
the
young
one
and
thing that I'll
dumb.
also say, which I'm sure that I don't know if you found this one, this is a huge one, is
Mhm.
I found that when the step counts get higher, I have to batch, I have to have a cardio time each
Yeah,
day. I have to have a step time. And
yeah.
I don't know if this is intuitive for a lot of people. It certainly was not intuitive for me. When
Mhm.
I'm doing 8 to 10,000 steps a day, I can just live my life and get it.
Yeah.
10 to 11, kind of same deal.
Mhm.
12,000 or more, I really need to be like, okay, I'm gonna do 50% in the morning or
Mhm.
50% in the late afternoon, and then let the chips fall. Because
Yep.
if I try to just spread them, um, I'm stuck with too many steps to do in the evening, and it just becomes incredible. You don't know how many times already that like I'm with my girl and we're just chilling on the couch and it's 10:30 at night. I'm like, I gotta go do 3K. I'll be right back. And I was like, it's so annoying. It's so
Dude.
annoying that yeah. And the earlier that I can get them done, the better. So even if it's 5 p.m. and I've got 12,000 steps, I don't care. Like, and then I can just sit around the rest of the night because it so much beats. Okay, like I'm just like getting my steps in here and there throughout the day, 6K, 8K. But now it's 9 p.m. and I gotta go walk a mile and a half. Ugh.
Do you do it?
Yeah, of course I do. What am I, a bitch? Of course I do it. I just don't like it.
Jim, the fact that you fucking do that while you're sitting on the couch with your girlfriend and you don't compete, you're next level, bro. You are the shiny Pokemon.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. What I'm very excited about is I have one more training session tomorrow. Then I have a deload. We can talk about that. My deloads are not the same as they used to be either. Instead of doing like a full week, I just take a few days off and then maybe have like one light training session and then just go. So it's more like 4 or 5 days of chill instead of like 3 days deload, 50% of this weight, 50%.
Oh, dude,
Not that deep.
I fucking hate that. It's just
Yeah,
I can't do it
anymore. I
Yeah.
don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And then I have 2 more mesocycles left of dieting, and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm hoping for a new look. A new
Oh, yeah.
look.
Short hair shimmy, short hair shredded
Yeah, I
shimmy.
got the photo shoot with my long hair. Now I got to do with the normal hair.
Yeah, you rock a little mean fade. Damn, bro.
Right.
It's gonna be crazy.
Right. Okay, and then the other ones that I have is exercise selection really fucking matters. It really matters. So finding the exercises that are quote unquote good and really work for you and then doing them a lot and getting really good at them is imperative. I don't know if I would put exercise selection and exercise, yeah, if I would put selection over volume, but god damn it, it's close. Like picking the right shit might be more important than doing a lot of the other shit. I don't know. I don't know. But I can just think of, now, especially as I get more and more along in my training journey, I really think I have such a good handle on what good exercises are and like which ones really work for me and what really get me and feel the best. No pain, big ranges of motion, tension in the stretch, stable, can overload. That I don't need to do so many sets because they're all so good. Like you pick the good ones, you do them well, you do them with a decent amount of volume, like that's it. Like and we know this, but I feel like now I believe in those statements a lot more than I used to, as opposed to just doing like a lot of exercise variations and a lot of sets. No.
Yeah.
Pick the good ones, pick them right. Like something that comes to mind is lateral delts. So lateral delts are a lagging body part for me. I'm 5'11 and a half. They don't grow. You can never have big enough lateral delts. And it's just like, man, doing stuff on the cables, on the free motion, with cuffs, without cuffs. There's nothing that beats that stuff for the lateral delts, man. Dumbbell laterals can go to hell. Most machine laterals can go to hell. You know what I mean? Even upright rows, they're cool, but they can't beat this, Not that. I mean, that's great.
This motherfucker want to tell me that he has lagging lateral delts.
Okay. Well, I won't stop you. Go ahead. It's all right.
Yeah. No. Very good point there. I think it's like keep it simple, man. If you find something that's working, things fall into place.
That's so real, bro. Like when you find something that's working, stop trying to convince yourself that it's not working. It's working. Yeah. Do it. Like be good at it. You know what I mean? Like you're doing incline dumbbell presses with really good technique. There's no prime Smith incline bullshit that's gonna save you. Do the incline dumbbell presses and get good at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that shit is crazy. People are like, man, cambered bar or flat bar. I'm like, I don't know, whatever one's good for you, and then do it for a long time.
You can almost see where like, and there's levels to it, but like sometimes you see like the dudes on bro chat, they're like just fucking train, like don't worry about it so much, and it's like okay, there's a little bit of nuance, but like Also, yes. Like, I see both sides for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be intentional and, of course, think about what you're doing. But it's like once you found a couple exercise variations for each movement plane that you like, just run it up. You got a
Yeah.
couple, you just swipe right, swipe left on them every couple of months, and that's it. And that's the way you get really good at it.
Mm.
You do got to have a couple variations that are great, but you don't need more than a couple.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Good
Yeah.
point. I love
Yeah.
it.
And then if I do I have anything else? Oh, yeah, locking out your reps is cool, but it might not be necessary. So this was the one of the biggest things that I gleaned from all of the length and partial range of motion research. I think some exercises done with the length and partial bias are cool, but the
Mhm.
biggest thing is that going through full range of motion is not mandatory to do, and maybe not locking out your reps in a lot of cases might be better. I mean, this is an old man thing. You heard this always from pressing, like don't lock out your reps for your elbows. I've now gotten to a point where not locking out does make my elbows feel better, so I don't lock
Really?
out anymore.
Yeah.
In that way, or not giving so much stock to finishing a rep, but still counting it. So let's say I'm
Mhm.
doing a calf raise and I go all the way down for most of them, but in some of them, maybe I only go 75% of the way up. I'm still counting that as a rep. I don't care.
Yep. Yep.
Like I'm not going to say, oh, well, I didn't go all the way up, so that doesn't count. Whereas in the past,
Right.
I would have said that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and I don't think that only doing a length and partial is good, but I think it's fine variation.
Mhm.
So that can work. So that's just now another tool in the toolbox. So instead of manipulating, let's say, strategic pausing versus not pausing, well, now I can say going all the way up versus 75% or going all the way up versus 50%. It's just another tool, another way. So maybe somebody really likes incline dumbbell curls, but you can't do that forever because it hurts. Well, maybe go incline dumbbell curls full range of motion for 2 months, and then let's go length and partial for 2 months or a month.
Oh, yeah.
You were able to keep that movement in for longer, but it's new enough where it's not boring and maybe it's not taxing the exact same joints, ligaments, and tendons in that way. So, um,
Yeah.
another way to sort of add spice or add variation to your training.
Yeah, dude, that's interesting, and I wonder if there's, like, a way to kinda, like, use that progression or, like, exercise selection structure to, like, potentiate better progress, and, of course, that'd probably be pretty individual, but that's something I'm gonna have to think about because, like, yeah, you can eke out a lot more progress by making a change like that, like a full range of motion incline dumbbell to a length and partial, and avoid getting beat up, avoid that fatigue accumulation and wear and tear. And yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to put more thought into and
It's
start
a
integrating.
really there's a really big use case for it for when you're equipment constrained. So if you train at home, you train in a
Mhm.
less than equipped gym. So it can
Mhm.
turn one exercise into three.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, right? So where
Yeah.
one person might be like, "Man, all I have is a Smith machine." Yeah, but now you have a full range of motion squat, you have
Mhm.
a length and partial, you have a 75%, you have a pause at
Mhm.
the bottom versus not pause at the bottom, you got a sumo versus a narrow, right? Like, and
Mhm.
then we have rep range playing with, and then we have pre-exhaust playing with, and I mean, this
Mhm.
is now a tangent and not exactly what I was saying before, but you
Yeah.
have opened up, right? So you have so many more options versus just linear being like, I only have this one thing. And
Yeah.
I don't know if one would potentiate the performance of the other. I find them to be quite separate, disparate, but who knows?
Okay.
Maybe getting really good at a length and partial might make you better at full range or vice versa.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a very valid point too. Like it might not, it might just be two different things that can be considered. That's yeah, I'm gonna have to start thinking about that and playing around with it in my future mesocycle progressions.
You should. Have you tried those 1.5 hack squats that I did? Have you tried those?
Fuck, dude, not for years. I did that in the John Meadows program in like 2021.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, I think you should try them now
Yeah,
that you're
I
post
should.
contest because you're very, very lean, and so,
Mhm.
like, doing heavier loads for straight sets may not be in the cards for you, so finding
Yeah.
strategic ways to get in a lot of volume with kind of lighter loads
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. So that 1.5s is perfect for that. Sets of 5 to 8, dude, 225 will feel like death for you.
Uh, Yeah, and I feel like when you're leaner, you just kinda naturally have a higher proclivity towards, like, being able to do more, like, aerobic endurance type, and that might not be technically true, but, like, you kinda feel it when you're leaner, at
I
least I
think
do.
that I think that it is true because you're doing a lot more cardio too, right? So you've got
Yeah,
to
that's
be
true.
handle stuff differently when you're doing 8,000 steps a day versus 13. You know, you
Yeah, good
have to.
point. Yeah, yeah. Dude, Imma fucking run that this week. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Make sure when you do it, I'm telling you this now, so then when you text me or when you DM me, I wouldn't have to say it retroactively. Go down slow, be tight at the bottom, like keep it quiet. That's a cue that I really like. So that maintains your tightness. And then
Mhm.
pause in the middle. So don't bounce. So pause in the middle, come down slow, and then come back up.
Pause in the middle, come down slow, and then come back up.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So basically, you're just controlling every portion of the load throughout
Yeah,
the duration of the lift. And you only need sets of 5 to 8. Like you're not doing more than 8 because 8 is like 14 in
yeah.
real numbers.
God damn, dude. Yeah, that extra pause, I wouldn't have done that, yeah. Okay. Challenge accepted.
Well,
I'm
just
gonna
because
I'm gonna
you
get a video.
if you don't pause in the middle, you can flick yourself out of the bottom with momentum. And no
Okay.
one will know, but I will.
Yeah. Right, right. Yeah, you're the only other motherfucker doing this. One of the
Yeah.
few, at least. I think I've
Yeah.
seen Trevor do it, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just integrated partials. You could do it with anything. You could do it with a dumbbell press too, where you're
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna go all the way down, halfway up, pause, all the way back down, then press all the way up. I've never tried it, but it's probably awful.
Yeah. That'd be a nasty chest pump, man.
Yeah, you probably need like one set as well.
Yeah.
That's I don't
Yeah.
think I can't see that. Like, all right, we got 5 sets of that. The fuck we do.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Dude, that was awesome. Any other, like, last minute things that, come to mind? I know.
Any other things? I mean, I feel like that was a fair bit. I hope
Yeah.
that we gave the people value. I hope
Oh,
so. There was
bro.
a lot of rambling, but I
That's
think there was,
okay.
guys, listen to this at 1.5 speed if you're not sure.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, no, it's like it's good that we do that though, because I feel like that's part of the personality part that people like. Like, we could get on here and just fucking drone on about the shit, but, like, that's not fun. Let's
Yeah.
sprinkle in, our investments into the S&P 500 rather than eating protein.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can't believe that I sold all that Solana. It's really is.
Mm.
Yeah, like of course I
Oh.
have my index funds and my QQQ Nasdaq exposure, fine. But like, man, when I see that Solana, I just get upset. It's just sad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just like a different kind of risk with a lot of what is he saying? With Wall Street with virtually no downside potential.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, it's just one of those things, like
Yeah.
everything comes up and down right now in 2024 November, cryptocurrency's having its wave. So if you're in it, you're like, I'm a god. If you're not in it, you're like, God damn it. If you're in, but not as much, you're like, oh, I should have gotten more. And then when there's a drop down, you'd be like, I'm so smart that I wasn't in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for real. Confirmation bias is real. On that
Yeah.
last note there, because I wanna get you on with your night, it's getting late. I was once told by, a client that GameStop is a god stock, like God,
Stock
bestowed
thing.
some
Yeah.
type of, I don't know what you'd even call it, divine intervention on GameStop. So, yeah, I mean,
Did you
feelings are
get any?
strong out there. Fuck no.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you?
No.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
No, no, no. But I mean, I was in that was during COVID. So I mean, like I had other stuff, right? Like I
Yeah, yeah.
had Nvidia, I had Tesla. Like I didn't
Really?
have games. Yeah, I mean, during that time.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Dude, Tesla, fuck.
Yeah,
Um,
but everybody has a Tesla story. I haven't owned Tesla for a long time. I
mhm.
had Tesla and I ended up selling it. I think I made like 150% or something. And then I walked away and I never looked at it again. Sure, if I held it, would I be up a lot more? Yes. But like nobody killed you for taking a profit. And like
Yeah.
more than doubling your money doesn't happen very often. So
No.
you do that, you just be happy and you move
Yeah.
on. And God damn it, I'll buy Solana on the pullback.
There we go. Well, shit, Shimmy, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for dropping some new insights on the people and just having a good time as always. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, man.
Of
We'll
course,
definitely have
man.
to,
It's been a long time, and I'm happy that we're able to chat again. When do you think that this will be up?
I'll probably get this up. I'm gonna work on it tomorrow. Probably won't get it up tomorrow though. It'd probably be up like midweek, probably Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
assuming you'll put up some like short or something.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I have this like AI thing that you can just drop a file and then it'll split
Oh,
it up
nice.
into a whole
It'll
bunch of
sift
different
through to
things.
like the good
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah. So
That's cool. That's
I'll
cool.
get a couple. I know there's some good ones here.
Fire. Love it.
But yeah, appreciate everybody for listening. Thanks for catching episode 84 of the Trainer Scoop. Follow Shimmy, follow the podcast, do all the shit. You've heard it a million times by now. So if you want to support, do your thing. But Shimmy,
Right.
appreciate you,
And
man.
this is not financial advice.
Never financial advice. That's a great disclaimer that we put that on there because you always have to.
Absolutely. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.